we're ready to pull back the curtain. All right, here we are.
Curtain on that. Oh, I thought there was a groovy peace sign.
There was a groovy peace sign on there.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Hey, welcome everyone. We're Sue and Dwight. It's Wednesday night, Living Room Live. We're streaming live from our living room here in Toronto, Canada. And tonight the theme of our show is peace, because tomorrow is International Day of Peace. And we like to celebrate that every year because it is such an important day. So we thought we would start things off with a song by the Weavers called Study War No More. I'm gonna lay down my sword and shield down by the riverside and study war no more. Down by the riverside, I'm gonna lay my burden down by the riverside, I'm gonna lay my burden down. Down by the riverside, I'm gonna lay my burden down. And I'll study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. 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 Down by the riverside, I'm gonna walk with the Prince of Peace. Down by the riverside, I'm gonna walk with the Prince of Peace. Hallelujah. Down by the riverside, I'm gonna walk with the Prince of Peace. And I'll study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. 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 Gonna beat my sword into a cloud down by the riverside. I'm gonna beat my sword into a cloud down by the riverside. I'm gonna beat my sword into a cloud down by the riverside. And I'll study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. 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 I ain't gonna study war no more. 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 Ain't gonna study war no more.
Yes, Down by the Riverside. Oh my goodness.
Great song by the Weavers.
Old spiritual brought back for so many important purposes like peace, social justice.
Let me just take a moment to see who's all tuning in tonight. I'm going to start over here on YouTube, and so far I just see one comment, and that is from Sherry. So thank you for tuning in, and I'm pretty sure that Dennis and Renata are watching, although they can't comment on YouTube, and as are Marianne and Kathy, and probably Rick and Ron are tuning in on YouTube as well. So
Melissa and her mom.
Melissa and her mom out in California. Yeah. There's so many great folks tuning in. This is wonderful. Over here on Facebook, I see that we have Martin and Kirsten tuning in from Bowen Island, BC. We've got Jan from Tennessee. We've got Sherry tuning in from Washington State. Ted tuning in from Coburg. Charles from Bonnie, Scotland. Lauren from Scarborough. Our Toronto Gale is in the house tonight. We've got Annie tuning in from Legal, and Linda and John in Illinois.
Hey, folks.
Deborah from South Jersey. Sandra from sunny Toronto. We have Cindy from Chicago, Illinois. Like someone might not... I just read it because it was there, but
Chicago, Delaware.
we all know where Chicago is. Yes, it's my brother and his wife actually just got back from a visit there, and they had the best time.
Chicago, Illinois, or the other one?
Chicago, Illinois, yes. And they just had such a great time. They were telling us we have to go there. So we have Nancy tuning in from Wisconsin, and Chris tuning in, and Peggy from Iowa, and Ellen from Idaho, and Sybil's tuning in from Orange, New Jersey, and Donna and Arthur from right here in our neighborhood. We've got Earl tuning in from Kansas, and it slipped down a little fast here. We've got Rika tuning in from Evanston, Illinois, and I think that's all I can see right now. So thank you for everyone for being here. And I know Roger told us he was going to be tuning in tonight. So
this next song, it's a song called Gulu Town. I had been working with an international development organization back in the 2000s. And so I had a chance to go to northern Uganda, kind of in 3 stages during that time. There had been an ongoing civil war in the north of northern Uganda for about 20 years, started in the 90s. And by the time the mid-2000s came around, there was still rebel activity in the north. So a lot of the local people were living in, they ran from their villages and stuff for protection. They were staying in these displaced persons camp, maybe about 30,000 people. If you can imagine 30,000 of those little African bomas or huts spreading out over the landscape. And so people lived in these for 20 years while the war was going on. So I was there while the war was going on, where we'd have to be accompanied by soldiers. And then when on the trip Sue came out on, which was about 2007, already the peace process, they've been trying to establish a peace, and they finally did in 2007. And then when we went back again in 2009, the real rebuilding was happening, and the camps probably had about 5,000 people, and we were seeing people going back to their homes. So it was really interesting seeing this area go from war through to peace to reconstruction. And this song is sort of in honor of all the people of northern Uganda.
Eternal land of Kika, the Bongo's great domain. Nomads of savannah wait the healing rains. North beyond the river, upon a Choli ground, lies our destination, all aboard for Gulu Town. Damn the rebel army who kill with no remorse. Damn the mighty soldiers as they withhold their force. North beyond the river, upon a Choli ground, lies our destination, all aboard for Gulu Town. Millions lost within the camps, far as the eye can see. Shame on every one of us who chose to let it be. North beyond the river, on a Choli ground, lies our destination, all aboard for Gulu Town. Pray for night commuters who sleep so far from home. Pray for frightened parents who must make their children roam. North beyond the river, on a Choli ground, lies our destination, all aboard for Gulu Town. North beyond the river, on a Choli ground, peace for North Uganda, peace for
for Gulu town. North beyond the river, upon its shoaly ground. Peace for North Uganda, peace for Gulu town.
Peace for North Uganda, peace for Gulu town. That brings back lots of memories. We stayed in Gulu the 2 times we were that I was up in northern Uganda, and we actually had some really lovely memories from there. I actually wrote the song "When the Rains Don't Come." I wrote that in a little our little hotel room in Gulu. Hey,
And one of the experiences we did have is in one of the displaced persons camp. They were putting together youth groups because a lot of the young teens were being abducted by the rebels and then becoming child soldiers and female slaves. So they were coming back to the villages and back to the displacement camps. And so we were able to be a part of a number of programs that were re-immersing these kids into it. And there was one afternoon where there were about 20 kids, and they had one of the kids. He had this poem called Peace, and we have a video of him actually. I dug it out.
Been able to find it.
I found it.
Oh,
I have
okay.
found it. So maybe we will make someone remind us to post the Peace video from.
It was wonderful.
From Acholi land, yes.
Hey, let me just see. I see a few more names here. I see that Waterfront Wendy is checking in. Oh, and Charles has his bar open on
you, Wendy.
Facebook. He posts a bunch of little beverage icons, and you're welcome to join in and have yourself a drink from Charles's bar. And and I see that Kathy is tuning in from Newport, Minnesota, dog sitting her grand dogs. That's cute. And I think that's all I can see there. Let me zip over to YouTube quickly.
Is Newport near Minneapolis? We're very familiar with Minneapolis, the War Road, Minnesota, Duluth.
Yes, we grew up in Winnipeg, so Minnesota was a destination point for us. We have Renee tuning in from Western Washington, and Phyllis from here in Toronto.
Hello, Phyllis.
This is great. So thank you, everyone. Now, this next song is one that I wrote called "How Do We Get Out of This Mess?" I think I dated that 2020. Oh my goodness, 3 years ago already. And we're still not out of the mess. And so we thought it would be appropriate for this theme because peace is very important to kind of clearing up a lot of problems we have. All right. How do we get out of this mess when the whole damn world's on fire? Society crumbling from unrest, situation dire. We need to wake up before it's too late and it burns beyond repair. We need a shake up before it's too late, or does anybody care? How do we get out of this mess when we're fighting a losing battle? Environment is under duress, situation fragile. We need to clean up before it's too late and we cannot breathe the air. We need to shake up before it's too late, or does anybody care? How do we get out of this mess where some people's lives don't matter, with some treated worse than all the rest? Situation sadder. We need to step up before it's too late and demand a world that's fair. We need to shake up before it's too late, or does anybody care? Does anybody care? Is anybody there? Does anybody know
know what to do.
How do we get out of this mess when the whole damn world's on fire? Society crumbling from unrest, situation dire. We need to wake up before it's too late and it burns beyond repair. We need to shake up before it's too late, or does anybody care? We need to clean up before it's too late and we cannot breathe the air. We need to step up before it's too late and demand a world that's fair. We need to shake up before it's too late, or does anybody care? How do we get out of this mess? Ooh, a menacing last chord just ringing there.
You know, and it's interesting, Sue had mentioned when she wrote the song and, you know, the back and forth perspective. We're really into a mini series called Call the Midwife right now. And the other day, the episode took place in the backdrop of the Cuban Missile Crisis. The whole show goes back to the early 60s. And, you know, we were kind of watching this, and the people were going through it, and they were terrified by the prospect of a nuclear war. And then you think, whoa, you know, 60 years later, you know, everything we should have learned from all of this, right? And we seem to for a while. But guess what? You know, we've got an invasion in Ukraine.
Yeah.
We've got warships in the South China Sea and all kinds of messing around. Let's just stop it and give peace a chance. How's
Yes,
that?
for sure.
Yeah.
Now, when we decided on this theme, we Googled, you know, just to see what songs kind of, popular songs fall under the category of peace. And one that showed up in so many lists was the song by Buffalo Springfield from 1967 called For What It's Worth. And we happen to know that one from our 60s folk songs shows. And so we thought that would be an appropriate one to do tonight because it always was near the top of the list of important peace songs.
It was actually about protests in Los Angeles, street protests that were kind of, I guess, happening throughout the U.S. in particular in that time. But you may notice a little theme. I'm noticing as well. Our first few songs are, you know, we're sort of a little angry right now, but we will get calmer. We will become a little more peaceful about peace. Right now, it's just like, come on, let's just get to it. Something happening here. What it is ain't exactly clear. There's a man with a gun over there telling me I got to beware. Think it's time we stop. Children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Battle lines being drawn. Nobody's right if everybody's wrong. Young people speaking their minds, getting so much resistance from behind. It's time to stop. Children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. What a field day for the heat. 1,000 people in the street, singing songs and carrying signs. Most Coast is safe, hooray for our side. I think it's time we stop. Children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Paranoia strikes deep into your life, it will creep. It starts when you're always afraid. Step out of line, the man come and take you away. You better stop, children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Stop, hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Stop now, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Stop, children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going. We better stop.
What a great song. It has such a unique sound to it. I just love it.
There's a great video of the Buffalo Springfield, Parset, Stephen Stills, Neil Young, and when they get to that fourth verse, Paranoia strikes deep, I can't remember who the guy was who sings a harmony on it with Stephen Stills, but wow, it just reaches down into you and goes like...
Yeah, it is a song that does kind of give you shivers, actually, when you hear it. Hey, let me just say hi to some more people. I see a few more names have popped up here. Gail is joining us from out in Burlington.
Gail.
And maybe Dennis and Whitney. I skipped by it fairly fast because my little window moved. Carol is tuning in from southwestern Manitoba.
How you doing, Carol? Bad weekend for the Bombers, but hey, still in first place. It's going to be a good end to the season. When I say I mentioned this the other night, I realized context is important.
Not
the
everyone
Bombers
knows
are the
CFL.
Winnipeg Blue Bombers, part of the Canadian Football League, and our hometown is Winnipeg, and the Bombers are in first place in the Western Division. We live in Toronto now. Toronto, the Argonauts, are in first place. We can't lose.
We can't lose.
Can't lose.
You know, we used to have a friend who loved to go to to go to the actual games, and so we'd often go with him when either Toronto would always be playing because there were games here, but Toronto versus the Winnipeg Blue Bombers or the Saskatchewan Roughriders, because our friend Lou had originally been from Saskatchewan and we lived there as well. And what was really great about going to those games is Toronto, Winnipeg, and Saskatchewan Roughriders. We didn't really care who won because we liked all of those. We'd lived in all of those places and liked all of the teams. So it was like, you're going to have a great game no matter who wins.
We would bet to place, to show. Isn't that a show? It's either your two horses.
I don't know anything about betting, I'm afraid. This next song is one that I wrote, and it's a little different in terms of the theme of peace tonight. Martin is telling everyone that accordion means it's time to get your kalimbas on standby.
I can hear Peggy's.
I think Peggy's tuning hers up right now.
Tuning it up there.
So this song, as I say, it's a little different than the others on the theme of peace. This one's more about personal peace and just finding peace in her life. It's a song called "When the Music Stirs Her Soul" that I wrote about the kind of woman that puts everybody else ahead of her and doesn't always take time to pursue her own goals. And at some point, it's a wonderful thing when she does get to do that. And that's what this song is all about. It's on our For a Moment CD, actually. Yes. All right, just let me make sure I've got my okay.
There's another who is
says she's not afraid to take a chance because she knows now she can dance. When the music stirs her soul, when the music stirs her soul. La 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 She put her dreams aside one day, they'd only end up in the way. Everyone was busy and there'd never be the time. In the background all her life, devoted mother, loyal wife. No one ever knew there was a gypsy in her soul. Tired of being sad, she gave up everything she had, and now she's reaching for the sky, and she is dancing with a smile. When the music stirs her soul, tired of being sad, she gave up everything she had, and now she's reaching for the sky, and she is dancing with a smile. When the music stirs her soul, when the music stirs her soul. La 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 la.
Wonderful music, Sergio. I've always liked that song. It's so haunting.
Thank you.
When on our, it's from our Four Moments CD, we have Connie Now and Rachel Mellis playing from the Swamperella band, and Rachel does an amazing job on the bass. It's one of those things where you picture how the bass is going to sound, and she is such an amazing player. She was just all over this big double bass. It's fantastic. So thanks to them, and Kim Quain for producing, Sue for writing the song.
Oh,
And you know what?
Martin says that kalimba can only mean one thing, and that is Poetry Corner. For those of you joining us for the first time, Poetry Corner is just a little short segment in the middle of our show where usually I read a poem that I've written, and sometimes we have guest poets. And tonight, actually, we have a guest poet. And that guest poet is my grandfather. And I should have actually put his actual name there. Rather than my granddad. His name was Robert McLaughlin, and he wrote this poem when he was a corporal in the Royal Montreal Regiment, and it's called The Bells of Britain.
And he fought in the First World War.
He fought in the First
trench
World
warfare,
yeah.
went through the gas, everything.
Yes, he was at Ypres First Battle of Ypres, and he actually continued to serve in the Second World War. He was too old for active service, but he enlisted in the reserves, and I won't say did time, but worked out of served time out of I think it was I've got Valcourt or something in Quebec.
Val d'Or?
No, not Val d'Or, but anyway. He wrote this poem, I think, after I don't have a date on it, unfortunately, but it was after the First World War, possibly at the start of the Second. But anyway, here we go. The Bells of Britain. The bells of Britain, muted 3 long years, pealed out again to sky, land, and sea, bearing to those who fly and march and sail a nation's heartfelt thanks for victory, and rising yet higher to the feet of He who falleth not the righteous and the just, asked that our arms by this shall strengthened be, so we in His good time fulfill our trust. Out on the 4 winds free their message rolled, from England, Scotland, Ulster, and ancient Wales, ringing the voice of Britain as of old, who fears to fall so freedom still prevails. Out to our gallant allies and those lands which burdened rest beneath the tyrant's yoke, to armies, outposts, and guerrilla bands, the ringing voice of unquenched courage spoke. And what of the foe? What thinks he as he hears their brazen-throated challenge to his might? This is the fruit of 3 victorious years. The underdog has just begun to fight, and will continue until the earth is free of foulness and goodwill alone remains, to take the peace of hate and slavery and prison camps and firing squads and chains. And so the bells of Britain's grand refrain ring from her dauntless soul to friend and foe. Thus do we ring, and we shall ring again, when freedom's triumph lays oppression low. I'm so glad that my mom gave me some of my grandfather's writings and other things, and it feels like a bit of a treasure to have these. And it's funny because I knew he wrote poetry because as a kid, often my birthday cards would include a little poem in them, about me, which was always kind of fun. But some of these ones that he wrote, in regard to his service in the war, are really especially moving. So that brings us to the end of Poetry Corner, and Martin says, snap, snap, snap. Don't forget to play us out, Dwight. Thank you.
Yeah, isn't it interesting? Your family history can be conveyed in so many ways. And when somebody was a writer, not only was Sue's grandfather a poet, but he also, I think we've referred to his journals, these little books that he would type up almost every day. And this was probably in the 60s and 70s.
For years, yeah.
So it's kind of like, and he was in Montreal, Quebec. So it's almost like being taken right back to Montreal on that particular day, the Expos score.
I could tell you the weather on any day between, say, about 1964 to 81, 82.
What time Sue's grandmother came back from
what
the
time
bingo.
She got back from bingo, and there's lots of. I love the whole daily life thing. I wish there was a little bit more about his feelings on things, but it was kind of a journal of activity, and occasionally he would write about things his thoughts on things and memories and things, but mostly it was an account of their day-to-day life, which is really quite fascinating when you look back on that. All right. Well, this next song is one that's always at the top of the list when you Google peace songs, and it's a song by Cat Stevens called Peace Train. Now I've been happy lately, thinking about the good things to come, and I believe it could be something good has begun. Oh, I've been smiling lately, dreaming about the world as one, and I believe it could be someday it's going to come. 'Cause out on the edge of darkness there rides a peace train. Oh, peace train, said take this country, come take me home again. Now I've been smiling lately, thinking about the good things to come, and I believe it could be something good has begun. Oh, peace train sounding louder, glide on the peace train. Ooh-ah-ee-ah, ooh-ah, come on the peace train. Peace train, holy roller, everyone jump upon the peace train. Ooh-ah-ee-ah, ooh-ah, come on the peace train. Get your bags together, go bring your good friends too, 'cause it's getting nearer, it soon will be with you. Now come and join the living, it's not so far from you, and it's getting nearer, soon it will all be true. The peace train sounding louder, glide on the peace train. Ooh-ah-ee-ah, ooh-ah, come on the peace train, peace train. Now I've been crying lately, thinking about the world as it is. Why must we go on hating? Why can't we live in bliss? 'Cause up on the edge of darkness there rides a peace train. A peace train, take this country, come take me home again. Oh, peace train sounding louder, glide on the peace train. Ooh-ah-ee-ah, ooh-ah, come on the peace train. Peace train, holy roller, everyone jump upon the peace train. Ooh-ah-ee-ah, ooh-ah, come on, come on, come on, come on the peace train. Yes, it's the peace train.
Mr. Cat Stevens.
I love that song. That song always takes me back. I can, how songs can sort of transport you to another time, and I totally remember being in that time with that song playing, and it was beautiful.
I always like the ooh-ah-ee, because they do some interesting production stuff on that, and they kind of echoes off into the night.
Well, and I like the way the background stuff is done, like out on the edge of darkness, like the way that the background singers kind of punctuate that.
Well, you don't realize when you're listening to it how many stops and starts there are into it. So when we started playing it, I thought, geez, they're getting to the chorus and they're doing a stop, and then they rebuild, which is very unusual. But the song just keeps chugging along. So you just kind of, once you get over that, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, it moves. Yeah, what a great song. And how topical, eh? How did it come up to number one? If you're doing keyword searches, the whole thing about search engine optimization, make sure you have your keywords. So
And peace.
Peace, eh? If
When
Cat
someone's-
Stevens wanted that to be Googled number one, he named it appropriately.
And interestingly, that would have had nothing to do with it back in the 70s, because the internet wasn't even
What's a Google?
a consideration. Yeah.
Google wasn't a word.
Yeah.
Surfing, net was not
Well,
really.
surfing was on the water, not on your computer.
Anyway, let's get back to our peace theme.
Yes.
So we know a little bit more optimistic there, but the flip side of peace can be war.
Yeah.
And,
And the reason that it's so important that we strive for peace is because of the loss in war. I mean, it's not just countries fighting, it's actual people and families who are devastated by those losses. And so we're going to do a song for you now about a young soldier by the name of Alastair, who was lost at sea on a ship called the SS Bradfyne. That was a merchant ship that was traveling from Montreal to Belfast, Ireland, and unfortunately was shot by enemy submarines when the merchant ship left the sort of the relative safety of a convoy of other ships. And this has a very personal connection with us and with Charles, who's one of our viewers. This was Charles's uncle, Alastair, and he was just a very young man at the time. He was the what do you call the SOS operator?
communications officer, probably.
I guess, yeah. And so Charles had asked me if I would be interested in writing the lyrics to music that he had already had commissioned. And that's something I'd never done before, but it just seemed like such an interesting project. Charles had contracted a beautiful musician by the name of Gemma Donald in Scotland to write the music for this, and it was a real pleasure for me to be able to add lyrics to her beautiful music. This is called Alastair of the Bradfyne. When I look out at the sea, there's a memory for me of a brave young lad with dreams and his whole life ahead. On a cold day in November, with sorrow we remember when his ship set sail for Belfast from Montreal. In the convoy they were safe. The SS Bradfyne made its way, a merchant ship with a cargo hold of grain. Then the captain said, "Let's go. We'll head out on our own." And off the coast of Ireland they went down.
So many lives were lost when the ship pitched and tossed. As the water rose, the young lad tapped a final SOS. His parents could not bear that they'd never see him there.
At the piano, fingers dancing on the keys.
They never day he'd come home, and waited patiently for him to walk through the door.
When I look out at the sea, there's a memory for me of a brave young lad whose dreams were swept away.
Nicely done, Gemma. Nicely done, Sue. Nicely done, Charles.
Yes, and Charles, I see he gave us the term, it's radio operator.
Radio operator.
Yes. So that song I always feel a little emotional about it, just because I know the people involved, and you know how quickly the years go by, and you know, something that like the Second World War may seem like it was, you know, forever ago when you're young. You know, 20, 30 years seems like a long time, but as you get older, you realize that it's not a very long time in history, and really, yeah, I don't know, it's things that happen a long time ago stay with us, and it's important to remember. All right, well, this next song, and boy, we seem to be doing a lot that I wrote tonight. That was not intentional. We did have one that you did.
Yeah.
Gulu, yeah. This next song is one that I wrote called When They Came for the Others, and I thought it fit in well with tonight's theme, just because you know, if we don't take care of each other, we need to look out for each other and take care of each other, and I think that's where we're going to find a lot of peace, is when people understand each other and look out for each other. And does that make sense? Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And I kind of based this on, or not kind of, I did base it on a speech by Martin Niemöller from, it was his speech called, oh my gosh, isn't that funny? The one where that goes, first they came for the socialists, but I was not a socialist, so I did nothing. So I stood by and did nothing. Then they came for, and he goes through various
This was from
people.
Germany in the mid-war period.
Yes, and he goes through the various groups that were targeted, and at the end he said, then they came for me, and there was no one left to help me. So I thought how important it is that we all look out for each other, and because who knows when it's our turn to be the ones that are targeted, and we'd like to know that others will look out for us.
No one's safe if we're not all safe.
Yeah,
right?
that's true. Yeah. All right. When they came for the others, she quietly looked away. I am not an activist, I don't have much to say. I am just one person in a world of millions more. What am I supposed to do that's not been done before? When they came for the others, they didn't have the time. I am not an activist, I'm a young man in my prime. Gotta climb that ladder while the ladder is still there. Anyway, shouldn't they know by now that life's not fair? When they came for the others, she did not say a word. I am not an activist, I doubt that I'd be heard. said they were not activists, couldn't fight against a man. Then one day they came for them, and much to their surprise, suddenly they're activists fighting for their lives. When they come for the others, we need to give a damn. Fight for equality, do everything we can. Everyone around the world fighting the good fight. All of us activists trying to make things right. All of us activists trying to make things right. When they come for the others, we need to give a damn.
Yeah, I think, you know, I was thinking when I was writing this just popped into my mind while I was singing, actually. I remember seeing somebody being interviewed, and they said, oh, you know, what can I do? I'm just one person, and I'm not an activist or anything. And I thought how we actually all can easily be activists. I mean, you don't have to be, you know, out marching even to be an activist. When you vote for progressive candidates, and you can sign petitions, and you can just ensure that you know, when you see a wrong, like even on Facebook, when you see somebody saying something that's not true or racist or just not good, you can speak out and set things right. And that is what it is to be an activist, just to actually take some action. So that just popped into my head when...
Speaking of action, that was a song where Sue had written. We thought, gee, we really want to record this. So we went over our producer, Kevin Quain's house, and he lives above the Cameron House, which is a really cool bar. And so we said, okay, we want to do this in one day. So it was kind of interesting, because we had only really done a very acoustic version. So when you hear the final version, it's really neat the way he snuck in a whole bunch of other
he added in some other instruments and things, and it was funny because we recorded it very quickly after I wrote it, because I felt I wanted to get it out there. And so it is actually on our website. If you go to sueanddwight.com, it's on our website in the little music store area. And I should just mention as well, I kind of often forget to do this, but I really shouldn't. There is a little business aspect to it. We don't charge a cover charge for our shows, but we do have a tip jar. And at our website at sueanddwight.com, you'll see that open guitar case picture when you go to it. And if you click on there, it'll take you to a page that shows you how you can do, like, the address there for e-transfers for credit, debit, and PayPal, and also the address for checks. So if you enjoy the shows and you're able to do that, we appreciate it very much. Now we have one more song for you tonight, and this
Truly a Peace song.
Truly a Peace song, and actually it was Pete Seeger who took the words of Ecclesiastes and turned it into a song. And he actually reinforced the message and added a very poignant line that says, "A time for peace, I swear it's not too late." So we thought it would be nice to end off on this song for tonight. It's called Turn, Turn, Turn.
every purpose under heaven. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to breathe, a time to kill, a time to heal, a time to laugh, a time to weep. To everything, turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven. Time to build up, time to break down, time to dance, a time to mourn, a time to cast away stones, a time to gather stones together. To everything, turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven. A time of love, a time of hate, a time of war, a time of peace, a time you may embrace, a time to refrain from embracing. To everything, turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to gain, a time to lose, a time to grant, a time to sow, a time for love, a time for hate, a time for peace. I swear it's not too late. To everything, turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven. Turn, 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 turn. Yay, Pete Seeger.
Yes, what an appropriate song and artist to end the evening on.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us, folks. International Peace Day is tomorrow, but we thought
Yeah.
that we were close enough and it was important enough to do make it our feature this week. But we have more shows coming up.
And also, I just wanted to mention, just in case you haven't been with us sort of from a long time ago, we started putting the sunflowers, which is in support of Ukraine, when the war started or the attack started on Ukraine, and we have said we want to keep it here until there is peace, and we're hoping that comes soon. None of us, I think, dreamed that it would go on as long as it has, but we will keep sort of as a show of solidarity, keep this in the hopes that Ukraine finds peace. All right, just want to let you know about some upcoming shows. Next Wednesday, which is it the 27th?
27th.
Holy smokes, where's
September's
September?
in the bag, almost in the bag. Wow.
And so is summer, actually. That summer
Officially
ends,
in
officially
two
ends,
days, I
yeah.
think.
So next Wednesday, we have another Living Room Live here in this room.
Living room.
In our living room, and I haven't completely nailed down the theme yet, but I will by tomorrow, and we'll have the details on our website, or on our website and on Facebook, and so you can watch for that tomorrow. And then I think we mentioned this last week that the first Saturday in September is a little later this month. It's not until the 7th of September, and that, or of October, I should say. I'm getting my months all mixed up. The first Saturday in October is October 7th, and that's when we'll be doing our 70s, Super 70s Songs show. So if you want to hear a specific song from our catalog of 70s songs for that show, you can find them at our website at sueanddwight.com. Go along the tabs at the top and where it says 60s and 70s, and then scroll down to the 70s list. If there's certain songs you'd like to hear, please let us know as soon as possible, and we will add as many requests as we can for that show. And I think that's all for now.
I think so.
All right.
Just let folks go off into the night, enjoy their wonderful, almost autumn evening. You certainly will be able to enjoy a nice evening out here in Toronto.
It's gorgeous this week in Toronto,
Hope it is. Hope things are going well out your way, and we will see you next week.